With the final raindrops of Hurricane Helene dropping behind me here in Ohio, LIEnette has a huge storm headed for her that she's created herself. If you recall, last time she created another new GoFundMe, one of hundreds, if not potential thousands. And yet, on that same day, she posted this, as you can see in her Standing in My Trash group on Facebook. All public information by a public personality. So it says this: the tortoises are all A-OK. No losses, no damage to their areas. Everyone is good. I am not in trouble with fish and game. I'm good. Stop listening to the lies. Do your research. And here's where she throws herself under the bus legally yet again. She begs and she pleads for people to contact her. Then she runs to a Levy County courthouse stating that everybody contacts her because of me. Ask questions right above my finger. How in the world could I be responsible for everybody contacting her, for the planet contacting her, when she states that she gets thousands and hundreds, and then it goes to tens of thousands, and the exaggeration and the hyperbole just gets out of control? All these people calling her, contacting her. She's literally begging them. Ask her questions. Stop listening to lies. Do your research. Ask questions. Maybe we'll see the real story, the truth. Oh, yeah. And the shell babies, they say hello. Oh, by the way, God bless. Her newest GoFundMe, unfortunately, has been taken down. Now, you may be thinking, Jeremy, unfortunately, do you want her to raise money? Yeah, I want all people in life to succeed. But one of the ways I succeed is the defamatory statements she keeps posting and updating on these different GoFundMes. So these are a part of the court case, the federal case already, and it's kind of sad that I'm not going to have more material. Not that I don't have thousands upon thousands of screenshots to already share, but it would have been nice just to have a little bit more. Literally going to the judge, hey, she knows she's in court for this, but she keeps doing it. Just like she keeps filing frivolous lawsuits because she's under the control of not her own mind, which frankly, that would be kind of dangerous as well, but the mind of another, shall we call him stalker as well? He is without a doubt stalking me and others inappropriately, and he has a life pattern history of this, which I can show, which I can prove, which he even posts about online, and so have others. All right, so we're going to number 33. Hales fabricated the story of a supposed, remember, this is a lawsuit that LIEnette filed with her new attorney against the 6 people that helped save Lloyd. So it'd be Madam Mayor Therese, her husband, Deanna, Travis. We also have attorney, Corporal Gregory. And then we have the new owners of the campground. And with 80 points in this lawsuit, we are only at point number 33, where we have heard literally nothing about the defendants except Corporal Gregory a couple times. Everything else has been about myself and a little bit of Lloyd scattered in here as well. Number 33, out of the 80 points of this lawsuit, which is ridiculously fraudulent or frivolous, Hales fabricated the story of a supposed emergency removal proceeding. Now, how in the world can I fabricate a story? I show things that happen as they happen in my life. End of story. And it's not fabricated. It is literally as it happens. So he's going to go on, the author here, which is not the most wise individual in the world. Oh, he's wise enough to start an LLC knowing that he is going to be gone after, and that he is going to lose, and he is going to lose more than just in court. But he goes on to write about a supposed emergency removal proceeding, court action being pursued by the biological family. This is not a fabrication. This is a reality. The biological family of the child have filed or are under I'm pretty sure it's already been filed, an emergency removal for the child with all the dangers that exist and everything that the planet has witnessed with this woman and with this man, if you can even respectfully call them a woman and a man. I personally don't find them either. I don't find them respectful at all. And the way that they parent, this author of this document loves to use parentheses about words that I've stated. So if you could call this parenting, this is the worst parenting I've witnessed in my life. I've never seen worse parenting than what I've seen at the Turd Purgatory across the street. Hales fabricated a story of a supposed emergency removal proceeding, court action being pursued by the biological family to remove HG from her mother. No, that's a reality. The answer filing for an emergency removal. And they are the biological family. And LIEnette is not the mother. There has been no evidence whatsoever yet to prove that LIEnette is the mother. If somebody can actually share some proof with me that LIEnette is the mother, then I will acknowledge that on paper, she's a mother. But I will not acknowledge in reality, real life, that she has motherly tendencies or motherly actions, because she's anything but. This child is a paycheck to her. And that's the way I see it. And I am completely and totally entitled legally to my opinion. And so the biological family is going to remove HG from her mother, causing thousands of his fans to call for Miss Preston's or LIEnette's loss of her child and placement with people who had no legal standing and whom HG has never known. Okay, so let's tackle this a little bit right here, okay? So HG has never known. Now, this author, not only does this author screw up everything in this timeline, and by the way, this lawsuit has been filed with revisions multiple times so far, because it was so ridiculously wrong. And the planet has called the author out on how ridiculously wrong he is. He literally can't even get the August 12th Sunday date correct. You're going to go into court and say it happened on this day, on this time, and you can't even get a date right? My goodness. Praise God for this lawyer. Best lawyer I have never hired, who is doing all the work for me in court. Like, this is, one of the things I said to George, I was like, man, this is amazing. As if we weren't going to win already, what could be better than LIEnette getting the worst lawyer that we have ever witnessed in our lives? Like, this is the twist, the turns, the plot twist, everything that's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of laughs, that's for sure. So further causing his fans to call LIEnette's child to be taken from her. And wait, that HG has never known. Let's focus on that. That HG has never known. So this child, this LOL, is now claiming this child has never known the biological family, which is not correct. So we have all the screenshots. We have all the information because LIEnette can never keep her mouth shut about anything in her life. She literally promises the biological family that they will continue to have access. LIEnette has kept in contact with the biological family. The biological family has had to block LIEnette because of all of this. The biological family has and does know the child, HG. And LIEnette is the one who literally practiced parental alienation, removing the child from her actual family, which this is ironic because LIEnette created a Facebook page. I know. Mind-blowing, right? LIEnette with another Facebook page, but she's not a public personality. No, she just creates... Let's just keep going on with the Facebook page. All right, so she creates a Facebook page for parental alienation because her own family won't let her have access to any of their children. Her own family want nothing to do with her. So she creates a Facebook parental alienation page talking about all the dangers, all the side, everything, the horrificness of parental alienation. Now, as a parent who has gone through this after a divorce, I can tell you that one of the worst forms of abuse for a child is parental alienation. As a matter of fact, 75% of kids who go through this and experience this parental alienation, 75%, they want to unalive themselves. They get into drugs. They end up behind bars. And the list goes on and on. Why? Because one parent is mad at another. No child should ever be involved in this type of situation. No parent should place a child within their own feud, in their own argument. It is one of the most immature, it is one of the most ridiculous things I have ever witnessed, and LIEnette has done it as well. She literally gets the child from the grandma, from the mother, and then, by the way, the entire time telling the grandmother that she can see the child anytime she wants, and then stalks us to Otter Creek. Her storyline, her fake reality storyline is she has to save the child because everybody wants LIEnette to be her mom. Every little child in the entire Northport community wants to come to LIEnette's house and be with the child, which then the story changes. LIEnette says she has to go to Otter Creek to save the child. Who in their right mind goes to Otter Creek to save a child? Direct in the past, since I've been there, 3 hurricanes so far. One of the poorest communities in the entire state of Florida, which I didn't know until I already purchased property. Because I purchased property based off of my business plan, getting access to all the major cities. LIEnette purchased property based off of a business plan, trying to get money from me. She's going to a dump, taking a child to a dump, claiming that the child is unsafe in Northport. It would have really seemed to me that this child would have been much happier, much healthier in a living situation in Northport than she ever would have been in Otter Creek. Because we know from LIEnette and Crook themselves, Otter Creek is filled with rug addicts. Oh, they would know because they keep letting them on the property in a rotating door. How is Northport any more dangerous than what she's done to this child in Otter Creek? And then LIEnette's story changes. She then goes on to state that the grandmother is a runk and that she would never, ever let this child, HG, around the grandmother. Except LIEnette has posted all over the internet that Crook is a runk. That Crook is selling his rugs. That Crook is abusive. That Crook, should I go on? Okay, so you're not going to let a child see your biological grandmother because she drinks, but you're going to let the child live with somebody who is under the influence more hours of the day and night than he isn't. And you're going to claim this person is abusive as well. So you're going to have this child in the care of this person while you're in court for hours upon hours. By the way, who's going to be watching the child when both Crook and LIEnette are in federal court? Think the judge is just going to say, yeah, bring a almost 5-year-old in here, which the child will be 5 at this point in time once we actually get into the courtroom. You think the judge is going to be okay with that? Heavens no! No adult would be okay with that. No adult would be okay with placing this child in situations where the sheriff is continually there. With placing this child in situations where she has to see different things of revolving door of rug addicts and listening to the foul language on the phone with the police constantly as well. This is nothing but lies. Birds of a feather flock together. LIEnette, her lawyer, are birds of a feather. And they can flock all they want. Just leave us out of your flock. We want nothing to do with that flock. We don't fly with those types of people, and we will never let those types of people fly with us. It's never going to happen. This is all out of pure jealousy for success, for income, for influence, and the list goes on and on. So we see this whole thing, the fabricated story. It's not a fabricated story, it's reality. It's in the court systems. And I seriously doubt thousands of his fans called for Miss Preston's loss of her child. Who'd they call? They calling her? Wait, she's the one that said she wanted them to ask questions. She's literally posted, and we have all the screenshots, that she wants them to contact her and ask questions. This isn't the first time she has begged them to actually contact her and ask questions. Woo! Okay, let's just go to number 34. What the Hell's videos repeatedly raise false questions. Oh, repeatedly raise false questions. Why? This is the same individual that's on videos repeatedly raising false questions. Not only repeatedly raising false questions, but getting himself in a legal limbo. You know, it's not even a limbo. Crossing the, you know what? There is no line for this guy. There is no line. This guy is in a world of trouble in his profession. I can assure you of that, and I will get into more of that as we move forward. So, have repeatedly raised false questions about the legality of Miss Preston's or LIEnette's adoption of HG, further causing his fans to call for Miss Preston's child to be taken away from her. Well, to my knowledge, I don't know any fan of What the Hales that has contacted anybody that we have actually talked about in the news story of our lives, because our fans wouldn't do that. Now, haters would do that, and who do the haters rally around? Oh, LIEnette. Oh, hate channels. Oh, this moron. And the list goes on and on. So are they now using their tremendous amount of control over people? You know, they said, I have this superpower. I control everybody. So are they now controlling people and making them call? Are they now making contact and connections? Causing his fans, my fans would never cause anything, to question and... listen, there's no proof any of the adoption is legal. There is a guardianship. That's the only proof there is. What we do know is from the legal father. He never signed anything. So that means one of two things. He's lying and he signed, or LIEnette is lying and she signed for him, which is illegal, and she's in a world of problems. We also know that the legal mother did sign, and in the margin said she did not want to do this. She was forced to sign under duress. That's not legal either. So we have a tremendous amount of eyewitness account from the legal mother and the legal father stating that none of this is illegal. Whew! Try and say that fast. None of this is legal, what has taken place. And now we have the aunts who didn't even know about this ridiculous Facebook adoption. Who in the world adopts a child off of Facebook during COVID and then takes them to Otter Creek, of all places, to save their life? But they state they've been watching this property since 2018, but the child wasn't even born till 2019. Needed the property back in 2018 to save this child's life, but the child wasn't even born yet. Child that wasn't even known about. There are a lot of crazy things that happened during COVID, but a Facebook adoption has to be one of the craziest. Like, this is insanity. Where else would you hear about this type of thing except on a Netflix documentary, The Turtle Queen? Coming soon. All right. Raise false questions, legality, causing his fans call Miss LIEnette child to be taken from her. Listen, no fan can call to have a child taken away from anybody. A fan can call if they see something inappropriate, and they can call the authorities, and they have every legal right to. Just like I have every legal right to. And why are we still on point 34 and we've got nothing about the defendants in here at all? Number 35, following the broadcast of the video footage of Miss Preston's property on What the Hales and Madam Mayor's adventure, CPS visited Preston 3 times, bringing the total of such visits from the calls to CPS, relying on What the Hales to 27, in every case clearing Miss Preston of any abuse or neglect of her daughter. So let's just pause right there. 27 times Children's Services has failed this child. If you want to believe what this author is stating, 27 times. We saw the last time a supervisor went out there, didn't ask one question of LIEnette, didn't ask one question of the child, didn't even enter the property, was more concerned about mosquitoes biting him than he was the welfare and the safety of this child. Children's Services gets it wrong a lot. And this is a huge area where they are getting it wrong. And I am not for one moment going to believe that in every case clearing LIEnette. No. There is 100% has to be case planned. In other words, actionable things that LIEnette has to do to keep the child, that Crook has to do to keep the child. I guarantee you there is a case plan that they must work, that they must adhere to. And yet, are we seeing anything about it from this author? Now, I can't get that case plan, but that doesn't mean a judge can't once this all gets into court. And I can guarantee you, these things will be unveiled in federal court. Not in this case. This is a joke case that will be thrown out immediately. All of this truth will be coming to light. All right, so 27 times. That's it? Wow, you would think after they failed the first, second, and third time, they would really want to up their vigilance. And yet, all they're doing is as little as possible. And as we saw in the last video footage, nothing. Literally nothing. Number 36. Ms. Preston received a visit from the Elder Abuse Unit based on the false report of abuse by Lloyd Campbell, which was induced by Hales and George in furtherance of their scheme to have his people, oh my goodness, his people invade LIEnette's property. I don't have people. Isn't that funny? Who would this LOL call his people? Is LIEnette his people? Or is he LIEnette's people now? Maybe it's LIEnette's people that are scheming to take me down, to destroy me, because those are the exact words that they're saying right now. That will be repeated to them in front of a judge in court. So, his people, her people. I don't own anybody. As a matter of fact, I don't even think that I own anything. I view it very differently. God owns everything. I've been called to be a steward of what he's blessed me with to bless others. LIEnette is not one of those individuals that are going to reap those blessings because LIEnette isn't deserving of those blessings, nor is Crook. The child absolutely is. Deserves to be blessed with a biological family. Deserves to be blessed associating playing with siblings, not isolated and locked in sheds and campers, kept away from the world. Lied to, told on a daily basis, you're going to die. The things that, oh my goodness, my head hurts even thinking about the damage that's been done to this child. And knowing that it's soon enough, if something happens now, that it can be corrected. She's young enough and moldable enough to correct the damage being done here in her and here in her. And so my heart bleeds and breaks for her. And this whole elder abuse, Miss Preston received a visit from an elder abuse unit based on a false report. I have nothing to do with reports by other individuals. Lloyd made a report that he was abused by LIEnette. That's Lloyd, who is not even in this. And why? Because this lawyer has stated publicly, because Lloyd is broke. So what are the motivations? Can you imagine when we show the clip of him stating these things in front of the judge? Oh, why aren't you going after Lloyd, Mr. Campbell? Oh, he's broke. Well, you're stating here that he made a false report. Why would you not include him in that? Well, Your Honor, he's broke. Lloyd legally has more money to his name than I do legally. Now, I know some of you may not understand all of that, and I get that. I don't have any money. Everything flows through a trust. In other words, all funds are protected for all future generations of what the Hales. That's it. That's what it comes down to. Lloyd legally has more money than I ever will have. That's the way it works. And he's trying to say he's not going after Lloyd because he's broke. Okay. And Lloyd was induced. I have never been one to induce anybody. That's all I can say. I mean, I'm thinking about a baby right now being born. Sorry. Not on my resume of skills by any stretch of the imagination. In furtherance of their scheme to invade the property. Everybody watching right now knows we want nothing, absolutely nothing to do with these freaks. These insane, dangerous freaks, the lawyer included. He's one of them. He is not right in the head by any stretch of the imagination. We want peace and quiet. And yet, when you poke and you poke and you poke and then you cry because you got poked back in the court of law, how does that make any sense? It makes none whatsoever. Lloyd can file anything he wants to file, and he can make any complaint he wants to complain about if it was illegal. So now we have this whole aspect of the elder abuse, and they're calling it a false report. How can any report be a false report? Wait, hold a second. 27 calls to CPS and stating they're all false reports. CPS has venues and ways to remedy if there are false reports. Guess how many people have been accused of making false reports by CPS so far out of these 27 times? I'll give you a moment. Guess. You think it's 1? No. 2? No. 3? 4? No. 5? No. Not one single person has been accused by CPS of making a false report. Not one. Now, if CPS isn't accusing anybody of making false reports, where does this author, if you could even call him that, he's more of a joke, get off accusing people of making false reports? By the way, do you think anybody told Lloyd he made a false report? No. Oh, all of a sudden, he's the expert? He knows all about these reports? I guarantee you, number one, LIEnette has lied to him. Number two, he does not have all the information. And number three, he's as big of a liar as she is. So, let's just keep going on in this insane piece of garbage here. All right, number 37, the stated reason for arranging a crew of his people to enter Miss Preston's property is that Lloyd feared his life. All right, first of all, I didn't assemble this crew. I was invited to try and help somebody. So when Lloyd reached out to Brett and Therese, Brett and Therese were in Alaska. They reached out to me. I was in Ohio. And then Brett and Therese reached out to Chief Beecham. You know, the undersheriff of Levy County, who was supposed to be there on that day, who orchestrated this at this day on this time that he was going to be there, but he didn't. He sent Corporal Gregory instead. And it said it's because the stated reason is Lloyd fears for his life. No. Lloyd stated multiple times that he feared for his life, which was then relayed to me, which then Lloyd confirmed with me. The reason for being on the property is to get the camper and all the belongings. I thought that was pretty self-explanatory. As a literal camper, you know, a free freaking camper is being pulled out of the property with a deputy, dare say, corporal watching it as it happens, protecting the individuals, including Lloyd, who actually fears for his life. I thought this was pretty common sense. What do you think a judge is going to say when he sees all the video? You think he's going to say, oh, no, they're here because Lloyd fears for his life. Lloyd can fear for his life. I fear for my life with this insane freak across the street. I fear for my life for this insane freak's 7th divorcee across the street, who is brandished not only to me, but to 4 others that I know of, 3 separate incidences, including mine. I have every legal right to fear for my life, just as Lloyd had every legal right to fear for his life. The reason to be on the property is to receive all of his property, remove all of the property, and get him to safety. But the author says, but this is false and a pretext to gain entry. How are you going to tell an individual, not only Lloyd as an individual, but a war veteran who fought for the freedom for him to actually write this garbage? And you're going to sit there and say, you weren't afraid. you weren't afraid. I dare this fool. I dare this coward to look Lloyd in the face, because he'll get an opportunity, and tell him you weren't afraid. This coward who wrote this, all right, was false. This veteran who gave up so much for our freedoms and our rights, and holding and fighting back tears out of his fear and his hurt. This man is a pathetic, absolutely pathetic individual. And yeah, it upsets me. Feared for his life, which was false and a pretext to gain entry for the purpose of videoing the property. We don't need entry to video the property. Everybody can see the property. By the way, do you want to know the property damage that LIEnette had and maintained? It was the freaking fence. I mean, that's the way LIEnette would tell you. You know, all that ridiculous tin that Crook pinned up all around the property. You know, those death traps that if a hurricane or a strong wind comes in and it blows it, it's going to decapitate somebody, is gone. Good thing the child wasn't on the property. Good thing it didn't come in on my property. Good thing it didn't hit any of the residents of Otter Creek. Guess who would be liable? LIEnette and Crook. That's the damage that they actually incurred as they create a GoFundMe going, please, please, give, when there's actual people out there who lost their life, who lost their homes, who lost all their belongings, who lost everything they had to their name. And these freaks have enough gumption to create more GoFundMes, to ask for more money from people, because for some reason they think that the world owes them instead of them giving to the world. I owe them nothing. You owe them nothing. They owe themselves to get jobs and do something with their lives. And by the way, if you right now are going, hey, Jeremy, I've heard you talk about disability and about being homeless and about not having a job. Listen, you understand I'm talking about these two in this situation. Your situation may be very different. But then you go, but Jeremy, you offended me because I am poor. Or I am homeless. Then change your life. You want to know who was poor and homeless? I was. I've shared it many times. Went through a horrific divorce. I gave my ex-wife everything. She sued for it. She blindsided me with a suit, suing for everything, which judge is never going to give her everything. And I just went, you know what? I'm not even going to fight you. Just take it all. I'll rebuild my life. I was literally garbage picking, had not a penny to my name, garbage picking. The home that I was in, all of the copper was stolen from it. I was garbage picking to get wood to put in the fire, even to keep warm. I had nothing. Now, if I would have had the mentality that some out there have and went, the world owes me, somebody else has to pay for my life, you need to give me through agencies and organizations and individuals, give me money, take care of me, I would still be there right now garbage picking. You know what I did? I told my ex-wife, take it all. I'll rebuild myself. I'll be 10 times the man I ever was. Guess what I did? I rebuilt myself 10 times the man I ever was. There's the difference. We can all go through the same situations, situations and circumstances, but people come out of it different on the other end. You don't have to stay there. You can change it. And stop asking and begging other people to change it for you. Get off the couch, get off your backside, and go do it yourself. There's plenty of ways. There's a million ways to make $1 million. And this is not one of them. This is going to hurt her financially more than she ever bargained for. And I guarantee you he's not telling her that. All right, the stated reason for arranging the crew of his people to enter Miss Preston's property that Campbell feared for his life was false and a pretext to gain entry for the purpose of videoing the property and broadcasting the footage as part of a Save HG storyline created to generate income and content and views. Oh my goodness. You want to know something about YouTube? Guess what's happened to my views? It's tanked. You know why? Because people don't want to see LIEnette. She's bad for business. You know why? Because people don't want to see Crook. Because he's bad for business. You know why? Because people don't want to see stupid people like this lawyer. Because he's bad for business. You know what they do want to see? They want to see me treasure hunt. They want to see me strike gold. By the way, I just picked up 2 storage units, and they are going to blow your mind. And yes, I will film them later this week. All I did was go and I loaded them, and they will blow your mind. I got one for under $300. If people knew what was inside this thing, it would have sold online for $5,000. It's epically huge. That's what they want to see. And yet, to my own detriment, because of accountability and for safety, I've placed all of this online. For accountability and safety of myself and George and Deanna and Christian and Patience and Pepper and other people who associate with me, I've placed this online. Because Levy County Sheriff isn't doing their job. Levy County Courthouse isn't doing their job. The ridiculousness. I mean, YouTube analytics gives it all to you. You know what's happened to What the Hales since I started broadcasting all this stuff? Now, here's the good thing. I could care less about YouTube. I created the YouTube channel to scrapbook via video my life. And that's exactly what it is. It's the news, the daily news of my life. If nobody watches, that's great. If everybody watches, that's great. If half the people watch, that's great. It was never created for anybody except for me and potentially George as well. Even though I started it before George, which is why I say for me. It was a scrapbook video diary of my life, the news story of my life. So for somebody to so foolishly state that this was all done so we could video property, I'm not even there. Deanna didn't go and video the property. As a matter of fact, I wasn't even going to broadcast it. And then all this garbage started coming out. And I went, you know what? We're broadcasting this. Why? Accountability, truth, safety. It protects us. Any judge that watches that video and reads this is going to go, oh my goodness, this man better never come in my courthouse again. Better never see him or her or anybody that has to do with them in front of me again. I wasn't even going to broadcast it. And then all this garbage came out. There are others that were on the property who have never broadcasted what they filmed because they weren't doing it to broadcast it. They were doing it to help a man that was in need and fear of his life, who needed to get all of his belongings off of a piece of property that they had every legal right to be on. Miss Preston's... Who calls her Miss? She's been married 7 times. I get it. She's divorced. But at some point, 7 times, would you not just keep the misses? I mean, you know, number 8 is coming along and maybe it's him. I don't know. Maybe not. I mean, he can't order her from a catalog from another country, so maybe not. Even though she was in Germany for a while. Okay. 38. As a result of the defendant's actions, thousands of strangers from around the world have called for the removal of HG from LIEnette's parental custody based on nothing more than seeing YouTube videos on What the Hales and other channels broadcasting the invasion footage. I'd like to see his research where he came up with thousands. As a matter of fact, wait, hold a second. Isn't there thousands on the other end of it now claiming that... that I'm a bully and LIEnette's a victim? Do you realize this woman tried to destroy my character and integrity in the worst way possible? She placed signs around town stating that I raped her daughter. Nobody should be okay with this. He posted things online stating he has pictures of his appendage in George's mouth. Nobody should be okay with this. If anything, I have held back. As a result, thousands of strangers from around the world. First of all, he's got to figure it out. If he's going to go in front of Judge Grudge, which he never will because he can't, because Judge Grudge has already found bias for LIEnette. Therefore, he cannot rule on anything that has anything to do with LIEnette. It's the planet. Keep up. Thousands of strangers from around the world called for the removal What's he doing? Talking to CPS? From LIEnette's parental custody, based on nothing more than seeing YouTube videos. How about based on seeing a child constantly neglected and constantly abused verbally? We've seen it personally, physically, hit in the face, pooping on a bucket. Child's almost 5 years old, still isn't potty trained. I don't know. Maybe that's what propels people to say, hey, something's wrong here. I don't know, maybe a wildlife officer being on a piece of property, being screamed, yelled at, you're gonna get a nail in your eye. Telling a child every day she's gonna die. The stupidity of this thing. All right, I get it. I get a little worked up. I'm sure you would too if this was your life. Based on nothing more than seeing YouTube videos, I'm pretty sure there are plenty of people who contacted, I know of some already, the aunts contacted CPS when they saw a video that LIEnette put on Facebook. And yes, that video will be shown in court. I know of John Crook's sister calling because of the text messages they received from LIEnette. Well, this just gets blown out of the water now. I'm pretty sure she's never once watched a YouTube video of What the Hales, because she didn't seem very versed in it. Her own daughter, you know, the real Michelle Preston, threatened and did call CPS on her mother and the way she treats HG. Her own grandson and his girlfriend and his boyfriend contacted them. The rug addicts who she claims stole a tortoise and her million-person tent. Okay, I got an exaggeration on the million-person tent. But remember, that was the first plan of hers that she publicly posted. And yes, she's deleted all of this, but we still have screenshots, all of it for court. That they were going to live on the property in a tent. That's what they were going to do. And then she decided, wait, maybe this isn't the healthiest thing for my child with a life-threatening disease. And then somebody came in and stole it. A rug addict, which then Crook and LIEnette posted all over Levy County Facebook pages that they were rug addicts and they were runks and they were this and they were that. And yes, we have it all. How does that equate into these thousands of calling for the removal based on YouTube videos? Oh, it doesn't. It's so easily seen that this woman should never, ever, and this man should never, and I use those terms, woman and man, so loosely, they should never, ever, ever be in the possession or assuming have the care of a young child. It is not healthy. It is not safe. All right, let's keep going on. Oh my goodness, we're going to get a whole nother YouTube channel in here that doesn't even have anything to do as a defendant in this lawsuit. Number 39. Look at this. We're almost halfway through this ridiculousness. Number 39. As a result of the defendant's actions, one channel, Veteran Nation, during a live stream on August 20th, 2024, started a change.org petition to have HG taken from LIEnette, which more than 300 viewers immediately signed with no personal knowledge and made a live false CPS report over the phone while live streaming. Okay, first of all, this is another individual who's reporting the news of my life, okay? And great, I appreciate it. Mike, I appreciate you. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate what you stand for. I appreciate what you've done for my freedoms, and I appreciate what you do for others who have fought for my freedoms. And I want to personally thank you. I want to say personally, publicly, thank you for what you've done for me and for everybody else on this planet. And for your care for this child, so devoted to the care of others, for the protection of others, that you would then call CPS and you would make a report because you saw something that was inappropriate and you reported it. You actually are a difference maker, and I appreciate that. And by the way, just because this fool calls you and says that it was a false report, obviously you've not been arrested by CPS. Therefore, they did not find it a false report. Nope. Pretty sure he's still streaming. Pretty sure he's still going strong. Not a false report. Oh, by the way, the change.org petition, Man, keep putting that thing out there. I signed it as well. I personally signed this petition. I was one of the first 500. As he says here, during the live stream, there was 300. Well, it didn't take me long to jump on after the 300. I was within the first 500. Thank you for caring enough and doing something. This individual who wrote this does not care one bit about this child. All he cares about is promotion of himself, his egotistical, in his mind, story of mac and cheese, which is beyond ridiculous. Number 40. As a result of the defendant's actions, this is funny. Number 40. You see this here, right? Number 40. As a result of the defendant's action. What defendant in 40 points have you heard talked about so far? I've heard Jeremy Hales, what the hell's George, Jeremy Hales, what the hell's George, his people, George, Jeremy Hales, what the hell's. We heard Corporal Gregory, a couple times. That was it. We've heard Lloyd, but he's not a defendant because he's broke and in Massachusetts now, according to this author. What defendant has this even discussed yet? As a result of the defendant's actions, a biological sister of HG's birth father started a scam GoFundMe. Wait. All right. Hold a second. He's calling somebody else's GoFundMe a scam when LIEnette's GoFundMe just got taken down again? And he's calling somebody else's a scam. Is this not one of the most, you think I'm joking, a scam GoFundMe right there. A scam GoFundMe raising money for a supposed court case with unnamed lawyers to get HG legally removed from Miss Preston's custody. It was the second such GoFundMe by the aunt, the prior one having been shut down and donations returned. All right, let's dig into this. Number one, the prior one has been shut down. The reason why it was shut down is not because they did anything inappropriate. It's because they shared a text from LIEnette to her daughter, LIEnette stating she was going to unalive herself, which is a tactic narcissists use if they're not getting the attention that they want from the person. They will then make these veiled threats of they're going to unalive themselves to try and get the attention that they want from this person. They use that image of the text from LIEnette, which is very real, on a very real GoFundMe, and GoFundMe said this is inappropriate. The funds have not been returned. The funds are in the hands of the legal lawyers. Real lawyers, named lawyers. This is in the court system right now. As such, the aunts then started another GoFundMe, not using that image, which is very, very sensitive, with an individual talking about unaliving themselves, which is LIEnette talking about it in a text to her own daughter. So, a scam GoFundMe, well, that's odd because the lawyers have the money. That's odd because the lawyers have the evidence. That's odd because the lawyers have the text. That's odd because the lawyers have the footage of LIEnette saying she's going to spank the child in the mouth. That's odd because the lawyers have the video evidence of all of the neglect and the abuse when the wildlife officer is on the property, with all the video footage. And they don't need anything from me. There's plenty to get from the police and the wildlife officer. There is no scam. This is reality. LIEnette has got herself in a situation that she should have never, ever even started. She stalked me to Otter Creek to try and get money and get fame. She's now famous for all the wrong reasons. She'll get no penny whatsoever. She will lose everything. And one of the reasons is because of this fool writing court cases fraudulently, frivolously, just like this.